back. Welcome back to another episode of More Than the Title. I'm your host, Jarrett Thomas, Chief Revenue Officer at Outside the Box Digital. You know, I'm joined with my guy, my co-host, my family, Chadeo, a.k.a. Pastel Chatty.
If it ain't bright, it ain't right. You know the motto.
You know the vibes, baby.
You know the
vibes, man. So shout out to everybody on the check-in. Before we begin, y'all know the vibes. We got to give a quick shout out to our exclusive partners at their live podcast network. Make sure you download the app and enjoy content like this and other amazing podcasts. They're doing a relaunch on Juneteenth. So Monday's a relaunch. Make sure you download it. You'll catch More Than the Title exclusively there. All right, y'all. And then also,
you remembered this time. You remembered this time.
I got to. You know what I'm saying?
I'm ready
to pop, man. I'm ready to pop today.
He remembered this time. I like that. He on
That's
point.
Off the top too. You know what I'm saying? That's off the top.
That's the 2.0 app. So anybody knowing, Alive had already released a 1.0 version. This is the actually upgraded version, 2.0. So we're excited for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So shout out to Angel and the team. You know, much love, baby. So, and also before we begin, shout out to our returning listeners, our subscribers. Thank you for the support. We're growing every week because of y'all. First-time listeners, what's up? And like I said, I'm ready to pod, y'all. So tomorrow's my birthday, so this is a special episode. I'm turning 35. If y'all want to send your favorite host a donation, if y'all want to come through, ladies, my Mercedes holds 4 in the back, too, if you're fat. You know what I'm saying?
We gotta be politically correct on this part. You can't say that.
Nah, we having fun.
Jordan, you gotta edit that.
Nah, we ain't doing that. But you already know, yeah. Nah, I'm just joking with y'all. But you know, man.
Cash out your favorite host for his birthday.
What's wrong with this guy? Am I kidding me or what?
Send him something nice.
Please do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yo, shout out to everybody, man. We got a special episode lined up for y'all today, man. We got great guest, man. Super excited about this. So
I'm excited.
We got this brother right here is a creative art and design director at Amiat Luxury Brands. Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, Tamil came up in the 70s and 80s and has been pushing the boundaries of fashion and art by blending the two together. Early in his career, he loves for fashion, art, and sports. He blended them together by designing professional sports uniforms like the All-Star Pro Bowl jersey of the NFL. Also worked with lines such as the Allen Iverson and Reebok collab, which was huge. So if y'all know what that was. And in 2001, he launched his own brand, Amiat. He came through, his time cultivating and perfecting his talent as a contractor and basically put it all together. And now he's here today to tell us what's his journey and everything he's learned. So please introduce our special guest, Tamil Robinson, creative director at Amiat Luxury Brands, baby.
Tamil Robinson in the building, man.
Thank you for pulling up, bro. Really appreciate you, man.
I'm
Real
excited.
talk.
I'm excited.
No problem, man. I'm excited to be here, man. Just to listen to you brothers talk, man, and just big everything up and everybody,
That's
and
it.
It's mandatory.
Well.
You got to get your flowers. It's mandatory, right? I know you do what you do because you have a love for the game and you have a love for what you do as far as your craft, but it doesn't mean that your accolades should not be put out there for others to hear about it and know that you've came in. Most people see the end result and don't know where you came from, right? So it's very important for us to help lay out that journey, right? To let people know this wasn't an overnight thing, right? This wasn't overnight. You've been working on this 20 plus years, right? Long time.
Yeah, bro.
Long time you've been putting in work, right? Exactly.
You want to put another 20 on that?
I ain't want to say, put your age out there.
Hey, man.
We blessed.
I got to count all them days of work, bro. I got to count all them.
I'm not mad at that.
I got to count every day, and that was a blessing. And it was very, just such a blessing, man. To go through what I went through and learn and grow and travel and just see people. I mean, and meet and create relationships around the world like this. It's just such a blessing, man. Definitely.
So let's start at the beginning. Let's take it back. Let's not even fast track. Let's start at the beginning. So right off the back, we had a conversation and you enlightened me, right? Because I told you that you were a fashion designer and you corrected me. You said, no, I actually have a fashion house, right? Which was huge because
yes.
I assumed you were just a designer and you had to educate me on the difference between not only being a designer, but having your own fashion house, right? So before we jump into that, let's take it from the beginning, man. How did you get started in the fashion game? And I want to know, what was your very first piece that you ever created? What was that?
Whoa. Let me see if I can go all the way back.
You said 40 years, so let's take it back.
Yeah.
Take it back. Yeah.
Take it all the way back to 1985. Okay. I was on that. I was just getting into my airbrush days. That whole hip hop graffiti thing. shout out to 50 years of hip hop. Everybody that's been in the hip hop game, I just want to give them a shout out too, give them their flowers as well, because that was
Salute.
part of my life and culture growing up as well in Newark, New Jersey, all the urban cities across America. Shout out to everybody. But my first piece was actually pretty much like, and markers on t-shirts, and designing, putting the graffiti on. Then it went to paint, because I went to a performing arts school. I went to Arts High School in Newark. So I've been classically trained in art, so I'm born an artist first. So, I wasn't bitten, I was born an artist.
That's huge.
I wasn't turned.
Yeah.
I didn't let the technology and all the stuff that comes up today turn me. So I'm still a true artist at heart. So those were my like humble beginnings, doing t-shirts, making the breakdancing uniforms, the graffiti. Then it got into airbrushing. I picked up an airbrush at like 14 and, and became a master airbrush artist at that. So from there, I had a couple airbrush shops, a couple strip malls, doing it at home first and then breaking out. I actually, when I say this, because once I first started doing those shirts and selling them, pretty much that was business. So at that age, at 14, you don't have the mature knowledge of saying, wow, I'm a business right now and I got to set this up and LLCs and all that stuff comes with evolvement. So back in those days, it was just pure out of the love and out of the grit and, and just the dedication of just trying to create something new and be all in the culture of, that whole hip hop urban scene. And it evolved into streetwear. I had a couple airbrush shops. And I've grown into like a master airbrush artist. So just so to break that down, that means I can do like photorealism, take a photo and spend so many hours on it. And then, turns out looking like that photo. So, and that's been like on denim, canvases, and being classically trained in art, I had different art teachers, from life drawing, painting, pen and ink, gouache, the whole nine. Watercolors, which I love, which is a version of airbrush, but you're using, pretty much watercolors paints.
Yeah, I like watercolors. I like watercolors. Yeah.
It's just like that's like the airbrush style. You work from light to dark. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen some people start off with whatever color, but you build onto that. So I'm classically trained an artist, and that's how that whole thing started evolving from there. From then on, after I left the airbrush, the airbrush shops, I wanted to just go into it more, into the whole apparel thing, and started growing. So that's when you fast forward from the high school days. I did go to, School of Visual Arts for some time and got my degree in interior design. So that's how I got into the whole fabrics, worked for an architect for a couple of years. That's how I got into all the, wanting to build structures. So with that, the architectural background, interior design background, you work with all different types of mediums, So with that being said, moving forward, I got into the fashion industry side of it, but still not knowing a lot about the business of fashion. That came later on. Excuse me for a second, my throat was a little sore.
Take your time.
Yeah, no problem. But with that being said, I got into the whole fashion side of it with apparel. Because that started when I started airbrushing on denim with the rhinestones, and I wanted to just go more into like, wow, I want to create some denim. So that's how I got into that whole fashion scene. It was pretty much from the denim. So that was like my base. And then the fabrics, from the fabrication side of it, the love for textiles, was from the interior design background that I had. And I worked for some interior design houses, contract interiors, residential interiors, worked for an architect. So like I said, that was blended the two. And I got a little bored with that. And not so much bored, I didn't want to do it anymore, didn't like it. I wanted to extend that and blend it with, fashion and create things. But I had to get education.
But this is so I just want to make sure we're on the same time frame. This is now around the college time, right?
Yes.
Because you graduated high school. High school was the airbrushing of the T-shirts and things of that nature, right? And now we've moved on to college, and you're working with the denim, and this is while you're in college, you're doing an internship at these architectural firms, or this is after you already graduated?
That was during. That was during
Okay, like
and after.
internships. Okay. Oh, and after. Okay.
Yeah, and
Right,
I do got
right,
a quick
and
question too, Tamil. Like during the height, as you're scaling that, like when you was doing the airbrush, like at the height, what was the most that happened? Like what was the most that you sold? Like, and how did you get the store?
the store part was from when I was working at the interior design in Fort Lee. I was working for a place called Concepts Office Furnishings,
Right.
Gotcha.
and I rolled by, and because I used to drive there, because I was in Fort Lee, I was coming from Newark. So
Yep.
from the hood to Fort Lee, you go, that's a whole different,
Night and
change.
day,
Right.
night
Yeah.
and day over there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I wanted to. I was selling my airbrush shirts, and they were Giants. They were like I did these sweatshirts with the Giants, the NFL Giants all over them. Airbrushing them myself, the whole helmet. I made stencils. I was selling them, and then I got involved with Lawrence Taylor's place. He had a place called LT's on Route 17. So I walked in there, and I asked the girl who was running the shop. I said, "Hey, do you like these sweatshirts?" And she was like, "Wow, yeah." And she said, I said, "Well, can I sell them there?" She said, "Of course. They look beautiful." I put the glitter on and stuff. And that's how I started getting involved. That kind of was a seed. That was not kind of, but that was a seed planted for sports licensing, which came
Okay, wait.
later.
Right. So yeah, that's big. Yeah, don't run past that. Yeah, I had to stop you. I had to stop you because that was big. Yeah, we can't let you just run past that right there, right? For the fact that you acknowledge that this athlete had a store, and then you had the mindset, and you wasn't scared. You walked in and you sold yourself, right? This is my product, and you knew that you had a great product to even bring with the confidence that you had. That laid the foundation, like you said, for you to go on later and get your sports license. So we can't let you just run past that because you had the foresight to kind of know what you wanted to do later on without realizing that's what you wanted to do, that you were laying the foundation for that. So that's big. That's real big. You know what I mean? That's huge. But I want to take you back real quick because you from the hood, right? So yeah, we hear the good stuff, but we from the hood too, right? And we was nice with airbrushes too. So did you do a little graffiti? Yeah, I mean, did you have a tag name? I want to know, did Tamil tag up on some, what was your tag name? Did you airbrush on any medium that wasn't clothing? Maybe the number 2 train. You told her 85.
I didn't bomb any trains because that's a train. Like, I hit walls. Back in the day, I did the park at Westside Park. I put up the whole thing called Newark. It was right in Westside Park. I did it at night, but when they saw it, everybody was like, "Whoa!" Me and my friend Kaz from back in the day. We went there and got the cans, the spray cans from out of the Valley Fair where I had my airbrush shop there. Shout out to Valley Fair in Newark. But that's how that whole thing happened right there. And I did bomb some places, hit some walls.
Listen, I mean, I would be remiss if I let you talk about hip hop, if I let you talk about coming up in the era of the true artistry of what, tagging and that whole creation process was, and then ask you if you did some graffiti. I wouldn't even let that pass. I wouldn't even let that slide. Like,
I can't. I kind of want to go back real quick.
T-shirt that I have on now. This is basically a abstract, but it's more of a graffiti-esque type of print that I did. But I actually laid it out on layers, and then I had the factory, pretty much printed down in layers on this actual tee. So this is more, I call it the graffiti print. And if you look back on my wall here, you can see that's the graffiti print on
the canvas.
It's not on the canvas. It's not on canvas. Actual fabric. It's called ripstop. Okay. Yeah, it's called ripstop nylon. You make the down jackets out of them, the goose down jackets. That's what the fabric is on my wall, but it's on the graffiti. It's in the graffiti print, and you'll see it in the dress. You'll see it on different things that I've because of my textile background, and that's what took me about 20-something odd years just to get all of that, so it can work out many different fabrications and different mediums of fabric. But yeah, the graffiti days were very, very good to me. The mechanical, the bubble letters. I did all of that. The jackets, little Raven Simone, when she was small, she came to my shop. She had like she was on MCA Records at the time. She was like maybe 7 years old. She came to my shop. I had a line around the corner, so to kiss and shake her hands. Photorealism airbrush shirt of Whoopi Goldberg. Send it to her when she had the Whoopi show on Channel 9. This was back in the day. It's like early 90s. So yes, I've done some things and had some great successes back then, and those were all seeds planted. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know, yeah, go ahead, Jarrett.
I was gonna say, 'cause I wanted to go back because we went to the graffiti. I ain't gonna lie, I
Yeah,
love
I'm
that.
telling you.
But no. But I
Telling
wanted
you.
to go to the LT because we went from
Okay.
LT to Whoopi. What happened
Yeah.
in that meantime? You know what I'm saying? So you went into the LT store, you
Okay.
were able to sell the product. From you as a business owner, what was your next steps from there? What were your feelings when you actually got your product in that store and being like, yo, I need to scale this? What was your second option after that?
That kind of like took me by surprise because, you know, I went in there showing my sweatshirts because I was already selling them at my shop, you know, in Valley Fair, Newark. So I went to LT's because, you know, it was Lawrence Taylor. I mean, you know, it was big time. Yeah, it was called LT's. It was like a sports bar, but they had like a little pro shop in there. And I saw the shirts there, you know, and you know, me and my brother went there just to hang out. And I was like, wow. So the next time I was like, man, I'm gonna come back and show them the shirts. You know, so my brother Ski, we say, let's make it happen. And that's how that whole thing went down. And from there, you know, I mean, from there it just started evolving.
So you're funding, I mean, mind you, now we're talking, you said your journey started in high school. Now here's another important aspect that we can't let you just run by, right? You started designing clothes in high school, right? So we're talking a high school kid. So if you don't tell me that you have a side hustle to bring in any type of income, you're spending whatever allowance money or whatever money you can scrape up, not on frivolous things, but technically on building a brand in high school. Because you have to buy these materials, right? The clothing that you're using, right? The stencils that you're using, the paints or the sprays that you're using. So pretty much you're spending almost every dollar that you get on your craft.
Yes, definitely. I had to.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, for sure. I had to buy the compressor, and I didn't want to buy like a little small one. I went and bought the big giant, you know, 300-gallon Sears Craftsman. It was a little loud, but I had the carpenter build it inside of the deck, and surround it like with the you know, the soundproof material. So you just hear like a hum when it jumps on, and when it pressure goes down, it fills back up. So that was under the stage that I was on when you see me airbrushing, you know, from the back. When they come into the store, I have a stage there. I had like a countertop. You see the shirts and everything inside the glass, and then behind it, under that was the compressor. So it was like 2 feet. The stage was like 2.5 feet off the ground. But I had it set up, you know, and this was all thought process. And now I look back like, wow, I did that very young. You know, always had that like little spirit, but I got that from Arts High because we always aspired to be something. You know, it was a performing arts school, acting, singing, you know, visual arts. More, you know, the visual arts always kind of played like the third child because, you know, the acting, you're on screen, singing, you're on records and things like that. So that was more prominent, you know, from Arts High, you know, because Tisha Campbell comes out of there, Michael B. Jordan comes out of there, Sarah Vaughan comes out of there, Connie Francis comes out of there. I'm just taking it back to the 50s. You know, that's almost 100-year-old performing arts school, still stands today. So, and I had alumni days and spoke there when my principal was living. You know, rest in peace. She's no longer with us, but she was pretty much like my second mom. She, Miss Caldwell, and this was before I met my main mentor that brought me into the couture side of the business. What we'll get into later, but those were like my salad days. Those were the salad days. That was the first entree, your salad. You know, before you get into the main entree. But in that time, it was evolving. Yeah.
I'm curious. Again, I can't get past this because in high school, right, especially back in the time when you were going through high school, right, you know, this is like the 80s. Heavy drugs are coming out. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things out there. You know, the crack epidemic in the 80s was crazy, right? So everybody, our people are now experimenting with this cheap drug. Everybody's getting high. There's a lot of distractions around you, right? And you come from an urban environment now. Nobody's teaching you business, right? We've already established that, right? So you're buying shirts. I'm curious now, what's the business model? How much were you paying for your shirts? How much did you value the time it took to create the shirt, and how much was you selling the shirt for? I'm curious to see, like, was you making any money? What was the profit? What was the profit margin between the beginning stages of buying the shirt, creating the shirt, to a finished product, and then you selling the shirt, and the same for the sweaters? I'm just curious, like, what was your average profit margin?
I would say my average profit margin, it was like, because I did like a 50-50 thing, you know,
Okay.
and it was just more so to keep everything going. The sweatshirts, I think they were like at the time $6 or $7. I had, they were jerseys. This was before I got into my own production stuff. So the t-shirts, the sweatshirts were, I guess, was maybe $10 to $12. The t-shirts were like $5 or $6 because I would go over to New York. It was this place in Midtown. I forgot what street it was, but it was like the garment district.
28th Street. 28th Street.
Wholesale, gotta be
Oh,
28th Street.
As soon as she said New York, wholesale, 28th Street. We know where that's at.
You know, the Barry Sanders for $10.
You want the Michael Jordan rookie jersey.
You get the Michael B. Jordan rookie jersey.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Signed by both Mikes.
Yeah. So you got to figure, and then I had like a little, I had like a little basement apartment, So everything was stored there. I didn't have a warehouse or anything like that. So my little studio where I lived at, the one little room, the kitchen on the side, everything would just sit there. A box of teas, paints, the airbrush material, because I would bring my airbrush home with me. That was like my gun. That was my tool of the trade at the time before technology took over. But
so this is a custom T-shirt in the 80s, right? Remember market value. In the 80s, and everybody wore these, right? Salt and Pepper, like it was big in hip hop. Fresh Prince, big, right? So everybody's wearing them. They're high in demand. That's what I'm saying. Like, what are you charging? $25 a shirt? What was your average price for a shirt?
No, my shirts went a little bit more. My shirts were I put a little bit more detail in them. I didn't do just the airbrush and then just throw it on. I really went into, because I was an artist. So I wanted to put more detail in what I've done. A lot of people still send me pictures of the Sade that I put on the shirt, or the Michael Jackson or whatever I, painted. I did the canvases as well. And then in the canvases, I may put a clock in it, but they can hang it home. So I was more of that kind of artist, wasn't just based on just graffiti, hip hop shop like that. It was based on my artwork. So whatever I could, because I was a true artist and can do whatever I wanted to do, there was no limits for me. So that's why you see things hanging on the wall here, because that still comes from those grassroots that I had. So some of those went into a couple of $100,
Oh, okay.
Sometimes 500.
So you had a select clientele. See, that's what I'm trying to get at, because again, right, when we talk in business, right, it's knowing your market. So you're entering a market in high school. You technically don't know business. You wasn't taught business. And easily you could have priced yourself out of your own market. You could have made something that was so expensive that the average person that was around you that wanted to support you just financially couldn't support you, because there are other high school kids that don't have no money. You understand what I'm saying?
Even people that came in the airbrush shop, even then, don't forget I was still in the inner city. So the income there, unless you was a street hustler, those, they came in with big money. They came in like to middle, I want my Jeep covered, my Jeep will cover, I want it iced out and da-da. So they made, those guys can be, fed too very well. And they paid top dollar for my work, and they wanted to really floss. And I did motorcycle helmets. I did the gas tank. So I airbrushed a lot of stuff like that. Gotcha. I did, people's like rigs. Like one guy did his 18-wheeler rig. That whole thing, I got up top.
The hood, right? And that's when guys used to paint the hood, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he drove that right so on the block, parked it, and had me come outside and do it. I didn't do it there, at Valley Fair, and I did that, from my home, because I had to do some hand stenciling and things like that when it took my time. So I touched a lot of different things back then, very young. With nowadays, that's like you're paying like real top dollar for stuff like that.
Right.
But back when I was doing it, like I said, I was young, so I could have priced myself. I'm quite sure some things I did, but don't forget, I still had the love for the art, and I knew I was going to make it somewhere, somehow, in some category in my life to that point to get up there. Right.
Yeah, we got a question from one of our listeners. They want to know the pieces that you created, were they all a one of one? Like no piece was duplicated, or did you do duplicates of pieces like that?
No, I did. When it came to the giant stuff from LTs, I had a stencil because I had to keep doing it. Yeah, I had to bring those
got
like
you.
every weekend. So I bought stacks of those in. Now
Got you.
I sold those to her for $45. She sold them for like, then she went and retailed them at like 90 something.
Right.
So those were the people that were coming in. But you talking about LTs on Route 17, that's Bergen County, Jersey. That's the money area.
Yeah, it's money.
Yeah,
area.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So they were able to afford that, and they were very, very nice shirts. I'm quite sure some people still have them. You know, I've seen pictures of people sending me screenshots like, whoa, and I look at the date and I blow it up. I'm like, wow, 91, 92. So, you know, those are like very, very cherished pieces, you know, that could probably go in a museum. But I did do duplicates of some things. A lot of people remember that the HBCU was big back then because Martin and them was wearing the that brand called that college brand that they were wearing.
Yeah.
It was all
Yeah.
different colors.
It's called African American College
Yeah.
Alliance.
Yeah.
College Alliance. That's what
African
it was.
American College Alliance.
That was
It had
big back
it
in
had
the
the
day.
black patch on the arm. Yeah.
Yep, definitely. And it was all it was cut up, color blocked,
Yep.
and everything.
Yeah.
Needle stick on top of it, and I was doing the airbrush side of it with Georgia Bulldogs. You know, those the HBCUs. They would come in and get those on the sweatshirts and things like that.
Yeah.
And I had stencils for those too because that was a hot ticket back then.
Yeah,
So-
those were exclusive and very expensive.
Yeah.
They even
Yeah.
rebranded them and came out with them again, and they're still expensive. They were very nice quality, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you seen one, you knew you were buying quality, but for the average person, they were very pricey. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they were
Yeah,
nice,
they were.
though,
That
but
was,
they were pricey.
that back then, that was your premium streetwear back
Yeah.
then. Don't forget, you had used jeans. You had back in the day, those different Calvin Kleins were still doing their thing. Lee's, you know,
Well, at that time, cross colors was big. You remember cross colors?
Oh, of course, I remember cross
Yeah.
colors.
So when African American College Alliance was out, cross colors was big. It was like 1 and 2. Yeah.
Cross colors piggyback off of that idea. Carl Jones
Right.
and those guys, and that's just my opinion. You know,
Right.
because I see things and I can pretty much, you know, pick it apart from the DNA of where they got that idea from or how they got that. I can pretty much pick any brand up. I don't care where it is, from downstairs to upstairs. I could pretty much, you know, gauge it where it came from, and that's how they piggyback off of that. And if you watch the documentary Fresh Dress, a CNN documentary, he'll tell you that story. But I already probably pretty much knew that. That's how they got that whole idea, you know. And then of course the oversized fit with the baggy jeans and the big sweaters and the big, you know, the whole TLC look, you know. Yeah, definitely.
That's when the jumpsuits was in. That's when the jumpsuits were very popular. The
farmer
jumpsuits,
joints.
the farmer joints. Yeah, the Oshkosh
joints.
Bigosh. Yeah.
Definitely. They had those. I mean, all of that look was in, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't pretty much was into that look. You know, I always wanted, you know, I grew up around like, you know, my uncles and them, you know, the fly pimp type dudes and everything like that. So I pretty much I did it for whatever occasion is. If I had to do like go to a show or a trade show, back then it was Black Expo, you know, before everybody went to Magic. And that's what, you know, my style was a little bit more of I like to dress, you know, I like to, you know, have a casual look. So, but it was for them at that time, it was really cool. I love the graffiti side of it though, because when we were breakdancing, we wore those outfits and I did all of them, you know, designed them, painted them, everything like that. So that's the only time I really got down with that look. But most of the time I wanted to be dressed fresh, you know, you know, like that. Yeah.
I'm curious too, bro. Did you put any bread into marketing at that time? You know,
You know what?
You got money coming in the stores and all that stuff. Like, how was you able to differentiate your brand? Because there's so much competition all over the place. Like you said, like there's cross colors, there's hip hop, there's everything. You got people like Dapper Dan, all that. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things going on. So how were you able to differentiate yourself and keep driving traffic to your store so you can get to the point where you are today with your brand, Amiat?
Well, for me, I never really looked at any of that as competition for me because I always came from an artistic side point of view, and I had my own style and my own flair. So I really, you know, when I heard about Dapper Dan back in the 80s, then that's where everybody was going to him because he was actually tailoring the clothes. But, you know, for me, I just felt like if I'm going to get those type of brands, I'm going to get it from this store. So for me, that whole thing, I wanted to create my own thing. You know, I didn't want to take something from something else and put it and make it seem like that's my brand. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make my brand a real brand, and I wanted to do it from my artistic abilities and what I was taught and grew up with. So I always wanted to stay original. Everybody had their flavor and everybody had their style, and I had my own style. So for me, I knew I would evolve one day, but they were doing big things. They had it really going on over there. I was admiring all of that stuff, what they made, those suits, the Jeeps that they were doing and everything like that. But at the same time, everybody was doing the same thing, and I wanted this to create my own. So that's how I came up with the TCA brand. So TCA, actually, it was Tamil's creative art with the TCA like that. A lot of people thought it was me and my brother and my best friend. So Tamil Season Anthem, but it was actually Tamil's creative artwear, and that's how TCA introduced itself into the hip hop urban fashion scene. That's when I got into New York and stayed over that way, and it started in the Bronx because I was introduced to someone at the Nansby show, and these guys were from the Bronx, and they
wasn't for the Bronx.
Yeah.
I can't let you slide by that.
Yeah, definitely.
If it wasn't for the Bronx.
Yeah, definitely. So I for me, that was my intro into the whole urban streetwear scene with building my own products now. After I left Newark, the airbrush shop, that had its course, that had its time, because don't forget, those things like that were very trendy. It wasn't like how I'm doing now, with mainstays and things that can stand the test of time. All those things were trendy. So now it's coming back because, everything recycles itself. But that's how I got into that.
But to what Jarrett said also, remember, we're talking 80, 85, right? Again, we're talking money is different. But most importantly, technology is complete. The internet is not even, there is no .com at that point, right?
It's word of mouth.
It was word of mouth. And that's why it was so trendy, because guys in Harlem rolling around with the MCM suit, right? With the Gucci suit. I'm getting money. You see this custom suit. You see these chains, and I know you want one, right? So that's what he's saying, like, at that time, so you came out with the TCA brand, right? But like, there's no flyers, technically. Nobody's doing like flyers or anything like that. So it's like literally word of mouth getting your product out.
Yeah.
And that's like, unless you had a connection or something, right?
But was there somebody that you gave product to, bro, that made sales skyrocket?
Yes. Yeah, what it was.
Oh, there we go.
That was a word of mouth. I went over to the Bronx. That's how it all started amplifying then. Those guys took me to this place called the Nansby show. That was before the whole thing with Magic and the big trade shows like that. So that's how I got into the whole fashion scene that with the apparel for TCA. That's how I got introduced to this whole situation. That was by evolvement. It wasn't like I was looking for it or whatever it is. I was just trying to learn my way because I already had the talent. So I was just trying to figure out how to get to the next level. And by doing that, I had to explore, So with that being said, that's how I got involved in the whole streetwear thing. And that was going to happen, and we did all the Black Expos. I was selling those airbrush shirts then. I was getting them embroidered, they were just on blanks. They weren't cutting soles from the beginning, but after that, it started turning into a cut and sew thing with the TCA brand. And from there, from that show, I started getting known, because don't forget, those trade shows, they come from all over the United States, all the urban cities, that have stores back in the day. The guys used to have their little corner stores, their little shops and things like that, and sell clothes, right? That's how that whole thing started. It was just an evolvement. It was inevitable that it was going to happen because I stayed in the game, but I still wanted to do something different, and I didn't want to stay boxed into that type of that type of category. I felt that I had more creativity behind me, and it was kind of like stifling me. And although I loved it, it was a great time. I had fun. I got on buses. I traveled all the Black Expos from here to Oakland, everywhere, and sold my TCA t-shirts. So that's how we did that. We got on buses and went, and Black Expo helped that out. That was the internet. That was the flyer. You know,
That's the chitlin
everybody
circuit.
went to the black.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
time.
my facts.
That's the chitlin
Yeah,
circuit.
that's
Yo,
what it was.
That's the
That's what
chitlin
it was.
circuit.
That
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is. It was.
yeah,
It was. And
yeah.
and that's why I said those are real humble beginnings, and those things, you know, and those are backed by, Coca-Cola, Lincoln. Those are like
yeah,
big sponsors behind the Black Expo. That wasn't small time. Sears,
yeah.
for each time that whole Walmart boom, that was pretty much our road to success. Um, the rest of the story goes, here comes all of the brands coming in, all of the big name streetwear brands was coming in. But I was still, for me, I wasn't satisfied because I still wanted to bring more of an original, you know, not to buy the
Mm,
blanks and put a sweatshirt. Everybody was doing that. And I just wanted to do something a little bit more. So I started doing these motocross type of shirts and, crazy color blocking back then. And they didn't get it back then. It didn't do well, but that whole motocross thing did come in and
mm,
went back out. And that's gave me like a little spark. Here it is, another
mm.
seed planted for sports licensing, which I was in
Right.
for a long time. And that's how I really, really got, you know, started learning a little bit about the business of the garment business and the fashion business at the same time. So I didn't
Okay.
have a mentor, you know.
Wait. So
That's
before
how
we
that
go
went.
there, let me ask you
Mhm.
this question. Before we go further into it, so TCA is owned and operated now. Again, we're talking from a high school kid into a college kid as an as is business, right? Cash and carry. When did you decide to take TCA, or did you ever take TCA legal and actually turn TCA into a business, a LLC or a corporation? Because I'm assuming because you're spending so much money of your own money, you didn't say that. Not one time have you said in this interview that you had a side job. I want to point that out. You never said, "Hey, I was working at Burger King or
Yeah.
McDonald's 30 hours a week to fund my lifestyle." So you've never said that. So what I'm getting from this is like you're all in. All of your proceeds are going back into the creations, back into the company. You're just flipping everything you can. So when did it go from you just making a profit and sustaining yourself on an everyday living basis to you actually saying now TCA needs to be a legal entity and turning it into an actual company?
Yeah, that wasn't an easy task because don't forget, I still didn't know the business of fashion yet.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
It was a cash and carry thing, and I did take TCA into a LLC at the end, but that's when it was like already had its course, and I didn't use it anymore because don't forget TCA was in Dr. J's, it was in like all the different stores like that, S&D's,
Yeah.
Simon's over in Brownsville. That's when I ran into the guys from Fubu, and they were just putting their t-shirts out at the time, and just like the little Fubu, I ran into those guys. We just started, I just would see them,
Mm,
Damon and calling those guys, and I remember them just bringing t-shirts in. It wasn't like at that highest height. It was all salad days for everybody,
Right.
all those different brands. So for me, it was more that route. I didn't have, a full um, education course of the business. It was always, let's just hustle it and get it to where it needs to be. And then when we get there, then we can figure all that out. So all that was a learning process for me, but I did finally get into more of a structured situation. And that's when I had to go with what you may call a side job. I had to go learn the business of fashion and get into working with different corporations that actually had business structures and doing that. So that's how the
mm,
Right.
Reeboks came
Right.
and the NFL situations came. I wanted to go and learn more and do more. So I had once that once that course ran out, I felt like, wow, let me get into some corporate situations and learn from the best and the big billion-dollar corporations, and also the 100 million, few $100 million companies that I did freelance for. So and
Right.
yeah.
I wanted to learn more about the business of fashion. It wasn't so much about getting all the money at that time. It really wasn't for me. As I was doing good for myself. I was eating, I was living, I was doing, I didn't have a family at the time, doing that. So I just wanted to learn the whole business of fashion. And that's when you start getting knowledge of how to structure things, how things go behind the scenes, what
Mm-hmm.
what different tiers of professionalism that you need for each, facet of, for each moving part of being in that industry like that. It's very, 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 very intricate, and it's a lot to do. And when you're doing, when you have a passion, you go here, but you need all of this here. You get very eager, and then sometimes you may slip and not
Yep.
concentrate. I had to learn focus as well because you want to get there so fast. So I learned to take a breath, relax, and say, you know what? I'm going to get there. I have to learn this part first. And that's when I put my talent to the side because that was already born and bred and raised, and all of the things that we just talked about. It was already there. So I had to learn the business of fashion. And that's when I started getting into the corporations, NFL, all the different private apparel companies, working with them, just doing all of those different types of jobs, learning all of the production capabilities, the tech pack capabilities, working with all of the different pattern makers, fabric people. It was a lot to learn all the different. I know all of that across the board now.
Yeah, I'm curious, bro. Like, cause I'm gonna be honest. As I hear your story, I'm amazed by your dedication and commitment. First of all, right? Like, cause you stayed through it, and we say this shit all the time. We travel on our website, OTB. We travel the road less traveled, right? We're paving the road as we drive. You could have went the Dapper Dan route, like, and most people would have. Yo,
He could have been the Dapper Dan in Jersey.
Yeah, you know what I'm
He could have
saying?
been
I'm
the
gonna take the
Dapper Dan in
Louis.
Jersey.
I'm gonna take this, all the hot brands. I'm gonna do it. And you said, nah, that's not even like I do this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that you went through that, but you also said like I had to learn the business, right? What was that moment for you that you was like, nah, B, like I'm nice with this shit, but I had to. I feel like was there a moment in the business where you lost a lot of bread? What was the biggest lesson that you learned? You was like, yo, I have to pivot now because this happened.
Right.
And that's very easy. That's very easy to answer, Jarrett. That was because I felt that I wasn't really getting appreciated in that environment to be more. But at the same time, I didn't build that, so they didn't owe me anything. So I felt like, you know what, I had to take it and say those are lessons learned. And that was that pivotal moment for me. Like, you know what? I'm gonna let all of this go. I got money. I have a passport. I have nothing holding me back. I'm out of here. I left 7th Avenue and went across the seas and started building relationships there. But before that, I had, did great with Reebok, did great, with NFL, and worked with those different companies that had those licenses. I don't want to leave that out because that was a lot of success in that helped me get to where I need to be at. So those doors, I'm not being unappreciative about that because those were lessons learned. I was in the big meeting rooms. I was with, the big apparel families. I call them families because they own the business, some private, some now public. No, that was a very, very good learning experience, but I wanted to do something and build a house like that on my own. I felt like, wow, they have these great big offices, and don't forget, they like 4 or 5 generations ahead of me. I'm just first generation, everything in my family. I'm first generation, everything. We were all first generation, everything. So we didn't have great grandfather that left, that built this from scratch. They were called garmentos back in the day. That's the term that I learned. They were called garmentos back in the day. So they had first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. So that's why, and you can see that plainly. Look at Dodge, look at Ford, look at all of those. That's 100 years. The person that started, he's no longer here. So I'm first generation everything for this legacy or this brand, this conglomerate, because we have other things under that conglomerate, which we'll get into if we have that kind of time, if you want to spend it there.
No, I want to take it back real quick because I know everybody's listening to. I'm thinking, yo, how does one get to the point where they're working with the NFL and designing a Pro Bowl jersey? Was it like something that they like a submission, whereas a lot of people came in and you beat out 100 artists or creatives for that spot, or was it a relationship? Like, how does that work, bro?
Cause you said that really casually, like
like you can't walk in there. I work with corporations.
Yeah, I did the NFL
AI's a hot
jersey.
dude. You know what I'm saying? AI, Reebok, a little basketball.
You know
It ain't
what I mean?
nothing, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
nothing. You know, it's just it's only the Pro Bowl.
He's just the MVP.
You know-
He's just the whole. He's just AI.
It almost makes you laugh because you could turn to somebody else and be like, "Wait a minute, you didn't do a Pro Bowl jersey?" I thought everybody got a chance. I mean, they do it every year.
This guy's doing swingmans. Get him out of here. He's doing Pro Bowl. How did that feel too, bro? How did you get that meeting, and how did you feel when you got it and seen it on the field?
I was actually working with a company called Galahad, and that's how I was doing tech and design work behind the scenes, because I was a behind the scenes designer and tech pack person, producer. I was learning all those different things, so I was behind the scenes all the time, just learning. And it kind of grew because at the time they were doing, Puma had the license at the time, so I had like 13 teams of Puma. So Logo Athletic was the licensee holder for that, and they hired the Galahad company for that, and I was the designer doing all of those different things. We would fly,
right place at the right time, right place at the right time.
Yes, and that happened from another close big brother friend of mine that got me in there to show him my work, and that's how that happened. And he had he was pretty much like the producer for the different brands, whether it was Fubu, whether it was Echo, whether it was NFL. I mean, that little office we had was rocking. And that's how I actually got in and knowing and started building relationships with everybody because of that moment right there. And that was a very, very blessed moment, So, I mean, with that being said, this was a birth of me getting into some heavy, heavy sports licensing situations, which actually carried me a long way. Got me to be able to fund other things that I wanted to do behind the scenes for the business of fashion. So that's how I got with NFL, because I was going to the meetings and they were like, wow, like this guy's doing some great work. And they asked me, would you like to design this Pro Bowl jersey? I'm like, okay. And this was up at NFL in the Tom Landry room, So I was like,
shitting me?
Look. And they asked you very casually, right, over some crumpets, right? Hey, Tamil, this donut is pretty good, right? Would you like to do the NFL Pro Bowl jersey? Like,
Shit. That's had to be the only response. Shit.
Right. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now, we always talk about, this is why we give you, again, we give everybody their flowers and their accolades at the beginning, because it's important to celebrate your small accomplishments, the small victories, because without the small victories, you cannot have the huge, large victory, right? So doing something like that, from airbrushing to getting, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I put a sweater in LT store, one of the first sweaters that I put in LT store, as soon as they said yes, I would have took it back and framed it. Boom. This was sold in LT. I'd have signed it. This was sold in LT store. Like, Pro Bowl, do you have a gallery of pieces where you're like, I did that. This is from this is from this, where you've kept one piece to showcase what you've done throughout the years and signed it as because we talk about generational wealth building, right? You already are a success story, right? But as you become bigger, your initial work, like art, because it is art, it's nothing different from your work in a painting, and it's going to appreciate in value. Mm-hmm. Your initial clothing, those one-of-ones or those first starter pieces could eventually be worth millions of dollars. Do you have pieces like that where you've saved and maybe framed up and signed, maybe now that you have a family, to pass down as like a form of generational wealth building for your family?
I have a few pieces. A lot of stuff is like at my mom's house. She keeps a lot of stuff folded in plastic. She has old TCA shirts. I'm like, oh, I don't even have one of those. So, And I have other people that have pieces from me that I've done artistically, hand painted. They still have it in plastic. They show me it. Now that social media, when social media came in, a lot of people like, yo, you did this jacket. I'm like, oh man, I'm almost in tears because I remember that. And I always blow it up just to see the date there and my signature there. That's what really, really gives me like, man, it just touches my heart to see stuff like that. So people do have pieces. I have a couple myself. Like I said, my mom has some things, but yeah, I do have some things like that to frame and put down, like that. I for the Pro Bowl jerseys, if you notice, 2001, it was 2001, 2002. They used them twice. They never done that before in the history of the Pro Bowl jersey, and that was only because, and I have to say this, Nike didn't want the logo on it. You know,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
and I was in the meeting. I'm like, and it kind of, it kind of got me a little, like wow, like it was like when we were in the conference room up at NFL. So at the time, Tracy and Ember, who loved my work, they always, we kept in touch. They just loved what I was doing. We kept a nice relationship. I love building relationships, and it was very, very genuine. It was nothing fake at all. She kindly told Nike, well, since your license is up and Reebok is getting ready to come in, we're going to use the jersey anyway. Nike was like, oh, he's not a Nike employee. We don't want to go behind it. And I did the jersey. If you look at it, it was it was an airbrush type of jersey. So it was gradiated. That's because the gradation was big back then. I was doing gradation with airbrush myself before gradation was even a name. Even they were using it in streetwear. It was gradiated this and gradiated that. I was doing that 2015, almost 20 years before it even jumped off into something really, really big. So, I mean, this is a very, very pivotal moment because they could have said, wow, Tamil, Nike didn't want to do it. We can't make it. And that was when they got behind me, I felt really good. I'm like, wow, they really, really appreciated what I was doing, and they pushed the jersey. So that's why they used it again. And Roger Goodell, and that was the best looking jersey ever seen in 20 years. So
Crazy.
that being said, they used it again, and Reebok put the logo on it. So you'll see it back to back. So that's why it's 2001,
See,
2000.
now you see, that's what I'm talking about. You see, now that's what I'm talking about. That's like a rookie card. If you had a 2001 jersey without the Reebok logo, and then you got the 2002 jersey with the Reebok logo, like you understand what I'm saying? Like that in itself, right there, is like, nah, I got the original one without the Reebok logo. Like this is the original one that second one was designed off of. That's technically a copy of this one. The value of that is like, you know what I'm saying?
Another thing that you made me think as you said that, chat, like,
Yeah.
did you document all this stuff as you was doing it? Do you have the first sketch of the one that you made of the Pro
Oh,
Bowl
that's
jersey?
big. Yeah, do you
Like,
got your
you keep all
sketchbooks?
that?
I have a stack of archives on disc because everything was on a disc then. On a CD-ROM.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have everything. I have it stacked right over here, neatly tucked
Fire.
away in the vault, so
Yeah.
I can rip it and show all of that. I keep everything I keep, that I can keep, stuff that I did on paper. Um, uh, um, that's probably like maybe at my mom's, like 'cause she keeps all the little old newspaper clippings when I had my first write up in the Star Ledger magazine when I did NASB. So she keeps a lot of that stuff like that. I mean, because I started traveling a lot. I was going everywhere.
Yeah.
First all over the United States on a bus,
Yeah.
on carrying my shirts and setting up for Black Expo. Then flying because we had to do Vegas for Magic. That's when the Black Expo Vegas, the Magic show kind of shut that down. And Black Expo pretty much kind of fell off to the side because everybody was on the whole Magic thing because the industry saw that streetwear, sports licensing was big then.
Yeah.
That's when you saw the rappers wearing the jerseys. And,
Yeah.
it was an NFL jersey or a hockey jersey, whatever it may be. Like I said, it was great, but it was trendy. And for me, like I said, coming up with my uncles and all the fly dresses and the hustlers, and they was wearing suits and rock and everything. Yeah, there they go, right there.
Oh, there you go, right there. There you go.
All right, great.
Shout out to Jordan.
Yeah,
My guys.
Jordan on time with it. Yeah.
So hey, let's run the roster down since he put it up. Michael Strahan, Tom Brady, all your famous Hall of Famers wore that jersey twice.
Right.
So
yeah, that's dope. Let me ask you a question
Brady
too,
and
because
Strahan.
we talk about education and we talk about the journey, and because you come from the era where information wasn't so abundantly readily available, right? Back in the day when we started to make music, we would do what's called a poor man's copyright, right? We would copy our lyrics onto a piece of paper, put it in the mailbox, and mail it to ourselves, right? You mail it to yourself, you leave it sealed up. That way you could at least say, I created this intellectual property, work of art, drawing, or whatever on this date, stamped by the federal government. Have you ever done any of that with any of your sketches and stuff like that? Tried to copyright them, like with a poor man's copyright or something like that?
Yes, I have. I still have it sealed too for my textile patterns.
Absolutely, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have it sealed for my textile patterns, and that's back in what, like, wow, that's a long time ago. I can't remember the date. I love to think, but I do have it here in my files. Just certain things that I created, you know, like the alphabet that I did, like when you see my signature, like you see it on the shirt or whatever, I created a whole alphabet like that. Because I was a graffiti artist and an artist, I wanted to create my own signature, my own letter style, all of this. So that's what I use. So I don't have to pull anything out of the Mac computer if I don't want to use their fonts or whatever it is. I want something a little bit more original. I can go to my alphabet and pull that up. And if I want to thicken up the lines or, you know, black them out or drop them out, you know, do like a block out or something like that, I can do that. I mean, just being able to hand sketch like that, you know, I don't really, if the computer was just shut down, I can still get down on paper and pen and pencil and watercolors and you know, color pencils and do what I gotta do.
You got full creative control. Yeah.
Full creative control, and that's what was missing.
Control. Yeah, you got full creative
control. That's
control.
what was missing for me. That's what was missing for me when I got into corporate. And whoa, I said, wait a minute. I'm sitting in a cubicle. Everything's gray. I'm just looking at the same window. I'm seeing the same thing. You know, so I said, wow, you know, because my creativity always wanted to go. So I didn't want to dilute myself so much, but I still needed to be in corporate to learn more and to fund what I was doing behind the scenes, you know, with Amiat. So that's what I had to do. So it was kind of frustrating for me, you know, but what I did like about it, they respected me, you know, it was the respect level was there because of, you know, the NFL, the Reebok situation, you know, the great relationships there. Everybody was nice. You know, they would fly me up to Boston. We'd talk about the AI stuff. I do some designs. I did a lot of apparel for that. And that was a great situation as well. And that helped me bridge some of the gap when I went overseas to go live and go learn behind the scenes of how everything works, you know, all the moving parts. And that was a really, really pivotal point in my life as well. And I had to have that, you know, so, and those are growing pains, you know. Those growing pains. It's frustrating because it's their company, it's their way. You know, I've designed something. Oh, Tamil, that's going to be too expensive. We got to water it down. It's going to cost too much. You know, we're selling mid-tier and downstairs. We're not selling, you know, high-end stuff. So I'm like, man, we can't use this embroidery like this. I needed to go like that, and I wanted to go all over the sleeve, and I needed to blast out this way like that. So they was like, no, we gotta water it down. It's costing too much. We can't meet our margins. I'm like, margins? What's that? So I mean, what's that about? Oh, see, again, the business of fashion. So I had to go back and understand and appreciate that and respect them with that. So I respect how they built that. So I wanted to do that. How I had to do that, couldn't do it through them, you know, because they have their own thing to keep going and you got to respect that. So you got to pack up, you got to know when to fold up your tents and say, hey, I'm going to do this on my own, brick by brick. I'm going to start it from the ground up. Even if I go broke, I'm going to make it happen.
That's dedication right there.
That's a fact.
That's dedication right there.
I'm a bet on myself. I'm gonna tell you that right now because of the talent.
Hold on, Tamil. Hold on, Tamil.
That's our line.
That's our line right there,
and
Tamil.
Shameless plug. You can get your Bet on Yourself shirts at your local, at your OTB.com, digital.com. We got mediums, larges, fucking XLs. Go cop them.
I knew it was coming. That's why I had to stop you because I knew he was going to go on the rant right now. Yo, no, seriously. No, listen. He has a shirt. It all started with you know, he likes the phrase, and he has a black sweater, and it says "Bet on Yourself" in white lettering, and we actually really ran with that, and we actually have a line now, a "Bet on Yourself" line, and we've actually incorporated that into our merchandise package. You know what I mean? So when you said that, that's why I just looked at Jarrett, because I already knew that was a trigger for him. He was going to jump all over that, like what? He was going to jump all over that, because that's our motto. You know. So okay. So TCA at a certain point in time, because you could have very well kept the TCA, right?
Yeah.
You could have very well kept the Amiat could still technically be called TCA. So now let's talk
Well, no.
transition. Okay.
That's two totally different, because it came TCA, Tamil's Creative Artwear, was based on my creative skills on hand painted things.
Shameless plug. There it is.
I like
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, that's natural.
Yeah.
Everybody should want to bet on themselves, especially if you feel something passionate about it. You know,
Right.
you see it in the vision, you can envision it. But see, I have that classical training from Arts High. For me, that whole point in my life, it wasn't even the college days. It was Arts High. It was Newark Arts High, because we were like a family. The teachers were close to you because you were young. You get in there, and that's ninth grade. You're still a child, pretty much. So they're pretty much raising you. While the whole whatever hours we were there, we had Saturday school. We had different things. You could stay after school. So anyway, we'll get off the track of that. TCA and Amiat, all moods and all textiles, two totally different situations.
Okay.
TCA came from airbrushing, streetwear, urban, that's what they call it, urban hip hop fashions and things like that. I kept that in that realm.
Okay.
So it was very hard. It wasn't the time for that.
Okay.
That's when I ran into my mentor when I was working in corporate. And he told me, okay, God rest his soul, he's not here. His name is Glenn Sr. This guy was a master pattern maker. He took me under his wing. I met him through another couple that were seamstresses. They were very good at what they do. They introduced us. We hit it off after that. I started calling him Uncle Glenn. And I still to this day keep in touch with his family. And I talk about him every interview. He died in 2005 of cancer, But he put so much faith and time and his talent, because he was a master pattern maker. He worked for like Calvin Klein. He did different companies on 7th Avenue. He worked on the major patterns for B. Michaels, different people like that. So he was good. He was great at what he did. He pulled me to the side and said, hey, look, this streetwear sports licensing thing, that's trendy. It's a fad. It's like we used to back in the day, we call it like hippies, painting on your jeans and stuff like that. And I used to get upset. I was a little offended. I'm like, hey, man, like, why you want to stomp on my hustle like that? This is how I got here. So, But what he was saying was, that's going to come and go. And I'm saying that for a reason, because you asked me about TCA and Amiat.
Yep.
That's what TCA was. It was trendy. I was young when I started it. So I wasn't thinking about what he saw me as. He saw real talent. He said, you know what? You have all this talent. You have all this drive. You're an artist. He said, you can create something and get into the high fashion business. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, man, you can do dresses and stuff like that. I'm like, what? I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna stick to what I'm doing. The sports licensing thing, I'm riding with it hard, and it was great. Don't forget the sports licensing. I touch every one. NFL, MLB, NBA, NASCAR, NHL, through the different companies. I did a
Hold on. No, you can't go past that. You gotta hit the alarm for that one. He said he touched every single professional sports league that's out there. That's huge.
Yes,
that's huge. That's huge. Yeah, can't like. I mean, I know. Listen, I know you got a lot of accolades, but some things you just can't run through again, because we're talking professional sports, right? We're talking statistically, the people that make it to these levels are like 1% of God knows how many, right? So again, it's not only the players that make it there, it's the people, the coaches, the staff that make it there. Anybody that makes it to that level is considered elite. So for you to say, not only have I worked with one, but I've worked with all of them, I don't even know how to describe how the level of magnitude of how big that is.
Including the CLC, that's the college elite, the college licenses.
Right.
Because the company I was working with, and I say work with, I never say work for, I say work with, because my talent, even though they say, okay, we're going to hire you for this job, we're still working together. I don't like to have that mindset, of working for. We working together. even though we're changing this business, you're going to pay me for my work. We're still working together. So even my crew, even my team, even people that I, hire and, work with, it's work with, because everybody's bringing something to the table. So I think if we all have that kind of mindset, we all feel like we're winning. That's why I always say work with. And, of course, they're going to.
That's a jewel right there. That's a jewel right there.
Facts.
No, that's definitely a jewel right there. Because that can go a long way with how somebody feels like they are being treated and their value to the company in general. So that's huge. That's mandatory.
I felt somewhat sort of like that in certain environments, and one time I was doing something with the company, and I come in, I get there when I get there, because pretty much the pandemic showed you everything. I could have did all that at home. I didn't have to be there 9 o'clock or whatever time you thought I was going to get the work done anyway. If I come in at 10, I'll stay at 10 at night. If I come in at 8, I'll stay at 8. With that, however I feel, when you're looking at your watch, I'm feeling like, wait a minute, this is not a nice relationship here, So I felt, for me, I had to respect it, because that person had a job, So I said that's another reason why I felt like, I want to build my own conglomerate. I want to build my own relationships, and we're gonna have such a beautiful workforce. It's gonna take over the world, and a lot of people should feel like that. So the pandemic actually showed people that, because everybody had to work from home. So my theory was right. Why we got to be here looking at the same gray wall? I'm an artist. I need to be out. Sometimes I just want to walk around New York all day, and then I could come back at night in the wee hours of the morning, because that's when everybody's asleep, and I can really, nobody's bothering, no phones ringing, nothing like that, and I can really rock out. Put on some jazz, put on some R&B, put on some classic rock, put on some country, whatever I might listen to, because I listen to everything, because those are real instruments. I came up into the hip hop era. We come on, Sugar Hill Gang, Sylvia, all those. That's, I grew up with all of that. So with that being said, you hear all of the different original music from that. So I want to play the album, and rock out. So for me, I felt like a creative person, you can't put in a box like that. There's no way they're going to really flourish and really be the best that they can be.
I got to stop you right there. Go ahead, Jarrett. What's your
Don't
favorite
box
line?
in my creativity. I tell him this shit all the time. Don't box in my fucking creativity. I tell this guy all the time. For context,
Tamil, for context, I swear to God, at least 15, 20 years, we've had this argument because we do music, and sometimes I try to tell him, listen, I know what you want to do as an artist, but you got to understand the business side of music, and we have it. And his favorite line, his fucking favorite line is, you boxing in my creativity. Don't box in my creativity. Start throwing shit. You're boxing in my creativity. Like, when
you feel it and and you're passionate about it, when you create something, like, when you got a banger, Tamil, you make thousands of pieces of work. When this one is gonna go. You know when that one's gonna do, and you just feel it in your heart. And when it comes together like that, you want to push it with all your might. So it's like, man, don't box me. I might want to do something like this. I might want to try this out, and all this different thing. And me and them have that conversation all the time. So I'm so glad you said that, bro.
Tamil, hold on. I want to say something. I hope you guys, because we was in the green room. I don't want y'all side text messaging, because that's two, Tamil. That's two things that you done said that kind of line right up with him. So I just want to make sure. Hold on, Tamil. Come on this show and be neutral, okay? Don't be team fucking Mr. More Than the Title and shit.
It's real. It's real.
Don't show no favoritism on this show, Tamil. God damn it.
Listen. I said the business of fashion. I had to put talent to the side.
Yeah, facts.
I have to respect how people run. So I jumped on both sides right there, because if I had to tell my younger self something, I would tell my younger self, hey, listen, what my mentor told me, what Glenn told me. I had my art mentor, Ms. Caldwell and Mr. Spinall. They're not even here anymore, Then I had my fashion mentor. Like, he was like that dude. Like, and I didn't realize it until it hit me, and he was correct. I'm like, wow, you know what? And I didn't never get a chance to tell him he was right. That's one thing, because I have no regrets. But that's one thing. So when I pray at night, I be like, you know what, Glenn? You know, you was right. Because a lot of stuff he told me, he said in 10 years, you're not going to see none of these streetwear brands. And 10 years later, he was right. I said, whoa. I said, this dude, he said, couture, old couture fashion and fashion houses always will still be there, no matter if it's a recession, things going down, things going wrong, the ups and downs. They weathered the storm. You got to look at Louis Vuitton, starting 18 something. Yeah. They weathered the storm. They stayed with it. Don't forget, that person that started Louis, that Vuitton family, not here, but the offspring are here. So that's how I feel like I'm first generation, everything in this. And that's still going back 20, 30 years. Yeah. You know, as a child, I was already been put into that path. You see? Yeah. So you have to grow into that and evolve that. And that's why I love talking and giving information to the next, because that helps everybody grow, even myself, because I don't have all the answers, but I do have the wherewithal and all of the brain power and dedication to want to go and get the answer.
Yeah, you've said a lot, and I don't want us to get past this, right? Because some people, we have this conversation with a lot of people, and I hate this. I'm going to tell you right now, I hate it with a passion. I hate when a person gets somewhere successful. I don't care what level it is, and be like, I did it on my own. Nobody helped me. You's a fucking liar. You's a goddamn liar. You a liar. Because somebody, some way along that line, at least had a conversation with you. Because help doesn't always come in a monetary value. You understand what I'm saying? So by you telling us, I had a mentor for art, then I had a mentor for fashion, right? Guess what that is? That's a support system. That is somebody believing in you, whether they gave you $1 or 10 cents. Just taking the time to have a conversation with you literally has changed your life, right? But that's a support system. There were people that seen what you were, seen what you could become, and took the time to try to help nurture you to make sure that you got to where you thought you could see yourself possibly in the future. That's huge. That's a support system. You know, and I tell people that all the time.
It is. And you know what? I could even go back when I was doing TCA. Let me go back one more time. I had the TCA brand on New York Undercover. Remember New York Undercover?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Malik Yoba. Right after Martin and
listen,
Channel 5.
That was the premier cop show before what's that, SVU and all that came out. Everybody was on New York Undercover.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's actually how I met my dude Ice. You know? And then years later, come back, I was working on his Icewear collection. So we had a passerby type of thing, and I call him like my big bro and everything like that. And it's been all love, but I got on there because of a high school alumni friend of mine took me. He knew the person over there, Richard Owens, who was actually the costume designer there. He brought me over there and showed my jerseys, and I had the jerseys, I had the whole TCA thing, and he said, "Look, bring me 2 of everything." And when I saw Malik Yoba on the TCA with the TCA thing, everybody was calling me like, yo, like it was, that was like, yo, you on TV with TCA? I'm like, I was looking like, wow, it's amazing. So that was a great situation. That was a great situation. So I do have those moments where, I was featured somewhere, and it was, that's New York Undercover. So everybody's seeing that across the world. So that's early on. That's Salad Days too.
I'm curious, bro. My fault. I didn't mean to cut you. My fault, bro.
That's all right.
Because as you said that, I'm like,
getting excited.
I'm getting excited because now I'm thinking about the scale of that business, right? But I think about Amiat right now, right? Because once again, you're in the luxury brand space, right? You're dealing with the Gucci's, the Christian Dior's, all of those Celine's, all of that, right?
Right.
And a lot of them, they get their sales through the streetwear, right? We make that shit popular. We make it cool. We make it all that. So I'm curious how you're blending what you've done, like in hip hop, streetwear, all this stuff, and how you're tying it back with the Amiat brand. And what was the New York Undercover for this current brand?
Right. I feel like, wow. For one, you know, you got to talk. You thinking about like that? You got to go back to the Dapper Dan days because that's where
Yep.
he was really freaking that
Facts.
stuff out. Like he was
Right.
doing that. That was the Dapper Dan days, and he get his. Hey man, listen, he got his crown. He get his flowers for that. He get his flowers for doing that, and he made something happen, and he made something really really pop. Wow. So it's for me. I feel like now a lot of those brands, the Gucci's, Montclair's, they're using like streetwear vibe.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what's going on right now with all of that. It's a streetwear vibe.
Yep.
So this was basically, for me, I just feel like all of those brands have their own flow of things. And the 50 years of hip hop shows that through all of those brands. You see everybody from, the Gucci's, they're using all of the streetwear looks to me. And some of it, could very well be, the Dapper Dan looks. I think Louis Vuitton.
Can I sidebar that? I feel like
Yeah.
they're using the streetwear looks when marketing to the urban market, right? Because we all know. Well, I'm not gonna say we all know. For those that don't know, most of these brands have multiple markets, right? Multiple markets.
Yeah.
So they'll have an American market, they'll have a Euro line, et cetera, et cetera. And then within those markets, they have multiple markets, right? So you'll have the Gucci that you see in Macy's, and then you'll have the Gucci that you'll never see that they got to take you into the back room and show you the secret book. You know what I'm talking about? They got the Louis Vuitton that you'll see in fucking Nordstrom's, and then they got the Louis Vuitton only made for if you spending $400,000 or $500,000 and plus better. I feel like those designs are not the urban designs. Those designs are more of the designs you see on these fashion shows and these runways, and those are the high-end couture designs, the exclusive stuff. And to everybody else, they're marketing the streetwear line because they know that we're buying it in mass amounts.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
you're not gonna see it like on a Met Gala ball type thing.
Absolutely
but who is it?
not.
It's the regular
Absolutely
trap dude
not.
that's rocking the Christian, that's rocking
Correct.
this, and then the collaborations as well. That's also
Yeah.
another thing, right? So
Yeah.
how do you feel about like the collaborations and all that stuff? And like, I'm still curious too. Like, what was that moment for you? Was there somebody that? Because I've seen your joint, bro. You was just on Vanity Fair. Your bags look like
we got to talk about that too. We got to make
Fire.
sure we get to that. We have
Fire.
to make
You know
sure
what I'm saying?
we get
Like,
to
so
that.
for those listening, like, I didn't know Tamil, so I'm doing the research preparing for this, and I'm like, damn, bro, that like a Prada bag like this. You went overseas and you got the fabric and you did this shit yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, damn, how the hell do you make it happen when you get to the point where it's like this? Because it's fire. It's not even the question of the quality. It's brand awareness and consumer education. If I don't know, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So how do you deal with that, bro?
Definitely. Hold for 1 second. I'm sorry. Definitely.
You go.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to pause for 1 second. I had
Nah,
to
all
talk.
good, bro.
Definitely. Just sorry about that. Mr. Williams, I'm gonna call you right back, sir. Good friend of mine, Richard Williams, been since Serena dad. Yeah.
That's
Yo,
it.
welcome.
That's it.
Thank you for
That's
joining
it.
more than
Thank
the
you
title.
for joining more than the title, Tamil. That's it. You're not doing that no more. You're not doing that no more. Yo.
He said, yo, I had Richard Williams and Will Smith on hold.
You know what he said? He said what he said? Yeah, look, give me a couple minutes. I hit you back, man. And then he hit him with the James Brown smooth voice. I hit you right back, man.
He said, nah, it's the orders in the mail, brother.
Give me a second, my brother.
Brother, what had happened was, I'm doing the marketing
love
thing.
it.
I'm going to call you when I call you.
I love it. He said, I said I would get back to you. You don't call me, I call you.
No, what happened was I told Mr. Williams that I was going to be on the show, and he was probably like trying to get the link and everything. So that's why he was calling me.
Okay,
Shout
shout out to Mr. Williams. Hey, listen, we only clowning you because again to the people that don't have the relationship that you.
Hey, how
and
you
Tamil
doing,
have.
sir?
Oh wait, he's on the phone.
This exclusive.
Exclusive.
Thank you.
OTP.
Yo, you on the show right now live, Mr. Williams. Yeah, you on right now. You can say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Mr. Robin, you've done a marvelous privilege.
Mr. Williams.
Mr.
Thank
Williams,
you.
welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
How are you, King? I don't know what to say.
I'm lost for words. You're a celebrity in my eyes. You like the celebrity dad of all time. He's a celebrity dad of all time.
King, I gotta shoot my shot, Mr. Williams.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams, 1 second, sir. My name is Jarrett. We're gonna shoot our shot on live.
Yeah, here we go.
Mr. Williams,
we got to get you on the show.
We would love to have you on the show, King.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited about what you're doing, sir.
Very
excited.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I appreciate you so much, man. We're going to finish up
Boom.
the show, and I'm going to call you right back.
Boom. You heard
Okay,
it first. More than the title, man. It don't get no better
Very
than this. You see,
Very good.
this is
This
what
is why you go
happens.
live.
This is why you go live, Tamil. This is why you go live. This is why you go live. You know what I mean?
Man, that was. Hey, man, that's God. You know, I'm calling.
You seen that, right? You seen that, right? He know your blessings are coming, and he just shined that light on you. Because let me tell you something, right? If there was any doubt, if anybody that was tuned in, that's paying attention to this interview, had any doubt on how you was moving, for you to just get a phone call like that is like, what are we talking about? You understand what I'm saying? So we talked about the Vanity Fair thing. I want to get the Vanity. First of all, I want to get the Vanity Fair thing up there. I want to get the pictures of the Vanity Fair thing up there so that we could actually showcase your bag, the cover. You know, so for anybody that don't know, we're gonna put the pictures of the Vanity Fair thing up there.
Definitely.
You know, so
you got Vogue
now,
too. Did you get pictures of Vogue?
We got to check the pictures. Is Jordan?
Which pictures?
The Vanity Fair pictures. Let's get those up for the audience members, just so they can see the cover art.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a second on that.
Okay, yeah. So we can talk until you get it. So now you know Vanity Fair, Vogue. You know, these major publications are now starting to give you your flowers, right? They're starting to give you your flowers. They're acknowledging your work. You know, one of Vogue's I don't want to say core statements, but you know, one of their statements is like, it ain't fashion until it's in Vogue. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know, fashion is in Vogue, and
right.
I really appreciate you guys, you know, taking the time out and scheduling the show, because you know, I would, you know, when you here in America, you know, it's more of the hype side, more so than like the backstory. They see like you said at the beginning of the show, like you said during the beginning of the show, it's more of like the hype side. So a lot of people, like Mr. Williams, he sees talent from the beginning, because I asked him, I said, Mr. Williams, how did you do that with Venus and Serena? He said, Tamil, I had them since knee high doing this, and I already knew what it was going, and I put them in, you know, sensory training. So he's like, you keep doing that. You keep doing the same thing to yourself and then what you're doing. He said, because right now, he said, you're actually 10, 15 years ahead of your time. He told me this. This is when I was doing, that's how I met Mr. Williams through another sports licensing friend of mine. And he the one introduced me to Mr. Williams. And me and Mr. Williams stayed close. And this was before Venus and Serena was winning Grand Slams. I knew them, you know, before they were winning. So we actually like friends and talk all the time, giving me advice, you know, stay behind the scenes. But he always told me, he said, Robinson, that's what he called me. You're ahead of your time. And I always be like, man, why everybody saying that? Like, I want to be right now. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
My mentor, and that's why I want to get back into talking about the difference between the TCA streetwear situation and the whole Dapper Dan thing. Because, you know, right now it's the 50 years of hip hop. So they got the spotlight. So whoever was prominent back then, remember, I was still behind the scenes trying to do my thing. I could have very well went hard and rolled with the cats in the Bronx. And, you know, don't forget, Big Pun, he wore the TCA shirt. Shout out to Big Pun. Fat Joe and all them, they all showed me love in the Bronx. You know, and my boy Big Keith, he the one introduced me. He got me in the Rucker Park for the league and everything. You know,
shout out to Uncle Keith.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Keith. You know, so it's a past.
He's gonna hate me for this, but I gotta say it. It's funny that you mentioned Big Pun, because you know, Pun run with Joe and Uncle Keith, You know, they always say he looked like Joe. He hate that shit, but you put Joe and Keith together, and them motherfuckers resemble each other heavy. But look, before you go too far, we got the picture. I just want to flash the pictures real quick. This is the cover of the Vanity Fair. That's the cover of the Vanity Fair. Yeah,
you got a newer cover too.
Yeah, and I want to show the cover of the bag, you know, and glamour, you know, fire. You know, we got to show it, man. We got to show it, you know, and just show, you know, the insert and the write-ups on the sections and stuff like that to show people like this is happening in real time, right? This is happening in real time. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So let me ask you a question because we running low on time. So I just want to ask you this, right? Okay, so we came up, we started one brand, we transitioned to a more high-end brand that has more lifetime longevity, right? Now, right, we're building this thing. And you told me, Chaddy, I have a fashion house, right? So now I'm saying to you, okay, Tamil, what's your mountaintop, right? What does Tamil ultimately want to be known for, right? Is it just couture, or does Tamil, you know, does Amiat want to be on the side of the next Ford Explorer? You know what I mean? Like the Amiat, you know, edition. Do you want to be like designing car seats? And what do you see this brand, or what do you envision this brand? What legacy do you want this brand to be known for? If you could sum it up for us.
It's pretty much everything you just said.
Right. Okay.
We are. So let's go back since you said we run out of time. So transition from Streetwear to TCA.
Right.
Run into my mentor. We build a relationship. He tells me, hey, you got talent. You need to go into a real fashion house situation. So he had to break that down to me. And I understood, and I went with that, you know, because he admired my talent so much. And he said, you're going to need, you just can't have stuff Amiat written on the shirt. He said, what's that? That's nothing. So he said, you're going to have to build things from the yarn, from the fabric. And I said, well, I was doing that when I was doing my jeans with TCA and stuff like that. So denim was my source. So I knew about fabric and from the interior design background and everything. So he was right about that. But at the same time, I didn't have the textile library. Now I'm going to you and everybody, you know, that's watching and listening and everything. Textile library. You see the LVs, you see the Gucci's or whatever. Comme des Garçons, everybody has their niche. Everybody has their signature, whatever it may be. I had to come up with the Amiat logo, which I did. My mentor wasn't really fond of it because he said, well, what are you going to do about that? It's just going to keep putting it on shirts, going to keep putting it on the left chest. Like what? He said, well, you're an artist. You figure it out. You know, I used to get upset with it, but I love him to death. I started coming up with textile patterns and started using my artistic abilities, going back, thinking about what Miss Caldwell told me and all my art teachers and everything like that. Think about composition, think about patterns, think about colors, think about all the different things. Using the logo, having an architectural background, having an interior design background, I started developing traditional textile names. So houndstooth, plaids, polka dots, stripes, flame stitch, geometric pattern out of the logo.
Gotcha.
So you see the bags like this here. This is one of the dust covers. You see the geo pattern. So you see the logo in that. And you can just see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see that, right? So here you actually see it, the geo pattern in leather on this bag here. So you can see it actually. Let me open it up so you can actually see that. So you see the geo pattern that's pillow stitched in the leather. Flip it around.
Pillow stitched.
It's pillow stitched on the leather. And by the way, this leather is you know, purposely made in India where they do not harm animals. It's very sacred. They don't allow slaughtering any animals. So we don't have to run into any of that because a lot of people ask me, you know, what about vegan leather? And I'm saying there's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as vegan leather. The cow is already vegan. It eats grass. He's already vegetarian. Skin is pure, everything. He's a service to the world. Milk, you know, people have to eat. So these cows naturally die there because they don't eat meat because they're vegetarians themselves. So the leathers actually die. And then it's processed. So I'm in like a waiting period for that because they have to go to the tannery and it has to get pillow stitched, embroidered, you know, and this geo pattern, you see it in the lining as well. So when you open it up, you see it in the lining. So it's a continuation. And if you look at this, they did a very, very nice job with lining up the lines here with the logo and on with the whole
Jesus.
aesthetic of the shape.
The detail is
The detail.
phenomenal.
Even
Crazy.
Phenomenal.
even
Crazy.
pulling the chain, even when you see the chain link, I had to get that. That's a special mode because I do a regular chain link. Buyer will say, that chain link is on the Chanel bag. It is, so nothing's generic in what I do. And that's the difference between having a clothing line, being a graphic artist, having a streetwear brand to its fullest extent. This is haute couture because everything is custom. Everything is everything is done from my concept of that logo. And that's how I came up with all those textile patterns. Even here.
Amazing.
Here, let me try to pull this.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Let me see. I always pull this. I'm gonna get up so you can see this. Give me 1 second.
While you searching for that, ladies and gentlemen, just know behind the scenes we're gonna get a 20% off more than the title.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a more than the title Amiat coupon for y'all.
Yeah, we're gonna get the co-branded Amiat more than the title. Bet on yourself with the cow design and that shit.
I promise you. Wait till we get it. Yeah.
You see that
that's
right
the
there?
Sequence. Yeah, the sequence.
That's my very own sequence that's die cut out of this metal. And then
that's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Jesus.
so I can freak this out on a button-up shirt. I could put it on this A-line dress as you see it. This is very, very professionally made, hand sewn down. So this is an haute couture dress, A-line dress on CD silk. And the
shit. That's a vest too, bro? That's a vest?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Talking about this?
Yeah, that was a vest?
No, it's a dress.
No, this is a dress. It's a full
dress.
Okay.
Yeah, dress. Yeah.
It's an A-line dress. I'm just showing it. I'll bring it down. So
that's fire, though.
Yeah, but that's again something like that. You can't just wear that any old place. That's definitely a red carpet event, And I'm not. Listen, you do what you do, right? But I'm saying, right, the same way you got in with TCA, I'm thinking you should go ahead. That something like that needs to be at like a Met Gala or a red carpet event. If you can get a celebrity to wear that, I think will help just take this thing to the moon.
But that's why I asked earlier about the influencers, because they're utilizing their UGC, for those listening, right, is user generated content. So if I put on an Amiat shirt right now and I got 100,000 followers, that's user generated content that he didn't have to pay for, that helps propel the brand in various different ways, right?
Right.
So is there anybody that you're targeting, because you've had those connections within like the licensed apparel, the football? Like, have you gone to the games and like, yo, Jason Tatum, throw the drip on, get us to your girlfriend or something like that? Like, is there a
who's
strategy
Amiat's
for that?
ambassador, right?
Yeah,
Amiat has an ambassador. Yeah.
For me, that's always been, for me, I always like to have things naturally, a organic flow, instead of running up to, someone and say, hey man, would you put this on? I'd rather give the story first and have a background to it, because you throwing something in their face, to me, like that, it's not really, for me, it's just for me how I would like to do it, because I like people to know the background, so you appreciate it more when you hear all of the blood, sweat, and tears that's put behind it. And then that player might say, LeBron might say, hey man, this dude real deal. Like, I got to get behind that, because I'm buying. And don't get me wrong, I love all those other brands, Givenchy's and Gucci's and stuff like that. Speaking of Givenchy, I want to show you guys.
I don't love them all. I don't know.
Wait, before you get too far, I was gonna say, because, bro,
I don't love them all.
I was gonna play devil's advocate, because you was like, you want it to happen organic. Bro, you ran into LT store and gave him the merch. Right. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like at the same time, bro. It's
you gotta jump off that bridge.
When I have the opportunity and the opportunity presents itself, then I do.
Got you. I'm not gonna chase it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do have people out there that's making calls for me, that's doing things and making a call here, Sometimes it falls on deaf ears, sometimes, but when you hear the story, when you hear like the background and you hear all the, things that were put into building this at this haute couture level, that's when I think that it's really, because look, Vogue saw it and they were like, well, when I got the email and they said, would you like to be, in our fashion summer campaign? I'm like, I thought this, because it's internet. I'm like, this is a hoax, but it's real. So they saw it and they can appreciate something like that because they had trained eye to see new things and have something that has potential. They can see that. So it's not necessarily they need to hear the backstory because they see a hot bag. You know, the lady
They know
told me
what's up.
already. Yeah, lady told me. She said, I don't know you. She said, I just heard about you. She said, but that handle you have with that fancy handle you have gonna take you a long way. Now she's a high end,
Right.
person, high end shopper. She has like that. She comes from that.
Yeah, got
She's
that eye.
raised. So she told me. She said, "Whoa, this gonna take you a long way. I don't know what else you're doing." So a lot of people can't hear the story and they don't get to see everything. And a
Right.
lot of things too is finance. So I want to keep that real too.
Yeah.
This here, you talking $1 million in just development alone.
Right.
And that's real talk. Because don't forget, you
Yeah.
have to shoot molds and dye molds. Footwear. Have the
Yeah.
footwear to match the belt.
Yeah, I was going to say, listen, I know you. Okay, I know we running out of time, but listen, don't. I know a lot of brands. Yes, women spend the majority of the money, blah blah blah. But fellas like some nice shit too. We like some nice shit, okay? We like the dress and we like some nice shit. And the big market for the fellas is those things right behind you that I was plotting on. Go ahead and show them, man, because you've been hiding them all interview. Just show the sneakers. Come on, man, reach back and grab them sneakers, man. Don't diss
Talk
the
about
fellas.
this.
No. Those are nice. The high tops. You know I'm a high top
Oh, the
dude.
high top.
Those are
Well,
nice.
you
Get
know
the
what?
high tops, man.
Yo, those are
Get
kind of
the-
those are hard, bro. You
No,
pull
no,
us back,
those
those are hard.
pastel.
Those are
Those are
hard.
pastel. Those match the shirt. See, I knew he was going to do that. See,
Those
there's
is
the
hard.
shirt. No, those is fire. And
It's
those-
my
but I like the high
birthday.
tops.
It's my
Look at the high
birthday.
tops. Now you gotta see the high tops. Though. Look at the high tops. High tops is crazy. Now the high tops is crazy.
Oh nah,
Yeah,
let
Nah,
me
the
Marty
high
Mc-
tops.
nah,
The high tops is
I'm
crazy.
Marty
Those
McFly.
the Marty McFlies.
I'm
Those the
Marty
Marty
McFly.
McFlies. Oh man. Look.
Yeah.
Bing
so this
bong.
is the logo. This is the logo, signature logo strap, high top, color block. Because I have it in solid as well. Because a lot of people are not into the color block. I've always been a color block person because of sports licensing, graffiti, the whole nine. So I'm an artist. So I came up with this whole concept. But here, once we get the sole done, because I'm waiting on that, that's when we're going to launch this. But a lot of people are asking about the footwear a lot.
Size
But
9.5.
Oh, okay. That's this right here.
And listen. And I'm telling you right now, I need my autograph, and I'm not wearing them. I'm telling you ahead of time. I might put them shits on for a picture, and then they go in a glass case. I'm just telling you ahead of time. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I might throw them shits on social media just to let the motherfuckers know I got a pair and my pair signed. I'm not wearing them shits outside, right? You know what I mean? But
Man,
listen,
let me
Tamil,
say
listen.
my guy I gotta shout Baresh out because that's my
Yeah, go
eyes and ears.
Please.
That's my
Yeah.
eyes and ears. And the fact that I actually trained this guy for like 4 years before we made that sample. And that's how deep I wanted to go with this because of my mentor. And his wanting to learn, and that's a story in itself. So
Yeah.
he, my eyes and ears over there. So it's like when we online together, it's like I'm in the factory and we're building this whole thing from scratch, like I used to do when I lived overseas and everything like that. But now it's more so, I have like teams that work in ateliers at different spots, and that whole system is really, really, really phenomenal. And we're going to do some amazing things. This is just the beginning. This is not even, man, the question stuff that we're working on. The saddles. And these are companies that are reaching out to me. It's not like I thought about, I want to make stuff for horses.
For the derby. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yeah, the riding boots, the hat, the whole equestrian look. It's going to be so fire.
Man.
The saddle, the car seats we're working on for the interior of the cars with the geo pattern. It's just going to be amazing. I can't wait to see it, especially when I see it in red. It's going to be nice. Although red is not like my favorite color, but the color that I came up with is so on point. And that red is the color of the year from Pantone, and I didn't even know that. Pantone puts out a color of the year, and I already had
Every
this
year,
red
yeah,
2
every
years
year.
before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
like the green.
red
I
happened
like
to
the,
be,
my name is Pastel. I like the green and the blue shit you got on, and the green and the yellow
yeah, I
that you
love
showed in the
this.
sneakers. All that shit is up my alley.
love
Yeah, that's right up my
love
alley.
Black and white is mine. I
love
love
it.
that
Now
black
the,
and white.
now the black and white is fire, but
All right,
if he
black and
make
white.
those sneakers in like that green and it's game over. It's game over.
oh man, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, for me, I'm a color theorist type of guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm always going to come up with some special color,
Yeah.
and blend it and all that. But, just to get back to what you were saying, so everybody can really understand the story and the essence of this. This the Amiat, all moods and all textiles is just what it says. All moods. That's your entire lifestyle. From the time you get up, I'm talking home furnishings because of my background, interior design background. So we're gonna have the home decor for all couture home decor. That's gonna be, especially with the aesthetic of the logo that's going to be built into the glass tables and the lamps and the chairs and everything. I've already have that drawn up. So this is like, this is a real serious house. And speaking about collaborations, Jarrett, you know, you may see that soon. You know, you may see that soon because like I said, I admire all the brands that've been out because I studied them. I know their history, when they started, the whole nine. So you had to study them so you can understand what you're going to do yourself. So I always tell people, I don't really, you know, I don't like to be put in a niche or a box. So if you buying a Chanel bag, you know, or if you're buying a Louis Vuitton or Bottega Veneta, hey, it's all good. They got hot stuff too, but respect my bag as that because the quality, the craftsmanship, the trims, all custom, just like it, you know, if not better. You know, so being that I'm plugging them, I gotta say if not better, because that's something.
Let them know. Let them know, my guy.
Hold on. Do me a favor, Tamil. Say it with your chest, man. Say it with your chest.
Let them know. Let them know, man.
Yeah.
Say it with your chest. If not better. If not better. Black owned.
You
know? Playing with us.
If not better, God damn it.
Black owned, huh?
I love it, man. I love it. Listen, Tamil. Listen, we definitely got to get you on for a part 2. I want to let you know right now, just so you have no ifs, ands, or buts about what just happened, right? This is actually the longest podcast we've ever done, right? Normally, we only do 1 hour. We only do 1 hour, and we're in an hour 40. But you had just so much information, and we did not want to cut you off. And this thing flowed so beautifully that we just had to. And it's still not done, but we just wanted to let you know that, yo, thank you for coming on the show. I mean, I knew it was going to be crazy. That's why we were so excited about it. I'm telling you right now, I've learned so much just in this hour and 40 minutes that's going to change my brand and the way that I do things. So I know anybody else looking at this has picked up so much information already. You got to let the listeners know where to follow you, where to find you at if they want more information on you as a person or Amiat as a brand. You know, put your plugs in and let them know where to find you, man, because these people need to reach out to you.
Before I do that, and before we go, I like to leave with a special situation.
Okay.
And then we're gonna wrap this up. But we gotta do it because we're gonna be launching in Milan this year at you know a showroom pick me up, second generation showroom, LDD showroom in Milan, Italy, the fashion capital of the world. They're gonna be actually selling the Amiat collection, everything. We're starting out with what we have, the bags, the footwear, things like that. And they requested to have the Amiat Geo weave bag exclusive. They don't even want it on my site. They talking that talk. So I'm like, wow.
That's big.
Yeah, so I wanted to show everyone before we go.
And before we go, I got a question about that. Because before we go, because if we're gonna talk about exclusive negotiations, I think that's important for the team. You know, real shit. I'm a business person, bro. Like, how do you set up? What are the parameters? Because you could price yourself out and you could sell a little too little. So how do you find the right balance to be like, yo, you're gonna sell this exclusive? Well, how does that work?
That's a good question.
To me, I like when she, you know, brought that up because she's, you know, very, very nice lady. She was like, wow. She said, Tamil, I need something exclusive. She said it could be a bag in one color, a certain color. So I said, I have something exclusive. I said, I wanted to, you know, because everybody was on this weave bag thing. Bottega Veneta did a weave bag. Everybody did the weave. And I was like, wait, you know, I'll go back to my artistic days when we were cutting out things. So here it is, right? And I do this all the time because I love telling the story and I had to do it. So I sketched this out. I sketched this weave pattern out on paper. I sent it to the factory. I sent it to the rest. And he's like, oh, I'm confused. And how does this go? So I said, okay, cool. I had my daughter actually record me cutting this out. So I actually cut this out.
Wow.
You know, so you can see it sliding out, right? And I sent it over there. So now you can see how.
Yo.
So now you can see how it's done. So I could put these back in and weave it back. So after that, right, they did it, they got it, and understood what it was, and understood the mission.
Wow.
And
Wow.
this is what she wants exclusive. So I want to show the audience and everybody this Geo Weave bag is
Hold
actually
on.
the
Is
same.
this the
bag.
first time you showing the Geo Weave bag?
This is actually the third time, but in an exclusive setting.
Okay, perfect.
Ooh, what a
Exclusively brought to you by More Than the Title.
that's
That's
fire.
crazy.
Off the print to that you showed the sketch first and made that harder.
Nah.
That's
You see what he
hard.
said? Wait, you
The
see what he
sketch
said?
made it
Because
harder.
you seen the story
Yes,
to it.
that story
Now when
was
you see the
fucking
bag,
insane.
Wow.
No, that's insane,
no,
bro.
No.
That bit, y'all gone too far. Gone too far, Biggs.
Ooh, that's hard.
Everything
Now,
lined up. Everything lined up. Everything is. That's right now. To me, the rest of the brands got to come hard. Sorry.
You setting the bar high. You setting the bar real high.
That's tough, bro.
Everybody was talking about the weave, a basket weave. I'm like, it looks like a regular box, and it was a regular box, and I'm like, wow. And it's nice. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I always tell everybody, I'm not jealous or hating on another brand ever going to do that. I'm an artist, so I have my own expression and things like that. So you're buying a piece of art. This is a piece of art you're buying. This is not just a bag. This is an art piece, and even the lining is peeking through the basket. So, and you see the Amiat logos is the focal point. And check this out. And this is all from our architectural days, because if you look at the logo, you can make a truss system. It's like a bridge or whatever it may be. So even here with the handle, it's crazy. It all flows, and you can't really put a price on something like that, but you have to, because you have to sell it, and you have to, it's a business, and you have to make money. But those are the type of things I would like to educate everybody on, to show that this is not just something that's shake and bake. It's not that at all. There's a lot of work that goes into this, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, ingenuity, and everything.
So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because More Than the Title is actually putting together a workshop. So we're gonna reach out to you. We're putting together some workshops, right? And we would love to have you as part of one of the workshops, because that's what we about. We have guests to come on the show, not only to tell their story, but the key point that you just said is to educate other people, right? Because now, Tamil, you've been doing this for 40 years. Guess what? There's somebody that's a young Tamil. There's somebody that's a young Tamil looking for direction, looking for that mentor, looking to say, is this even possible? And now when they see something that you're going to do, just one or two things like that bag, you're going to blow their mind away and open up their creativity so crazy that they're going to be like, that's all I needed. It's over now. Game over. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we're definitely going to talk to you about that workshop. Absolutely.
I'm always mentoring. I'm always giving, the proper information, man. I want to take, a bunch of young Tamils or young Tamilettes, across overseas, so they can really see, how I've seen, like, everything I've done is from the yarn. Even this T-shirt that I'm wearing, this is from the yarn. This is not a regular T-shirt. The T-shirt is built off of the logo, so you can see all of the cut lines of the logo here, even on the bottom hem.
Right. Even the neck piece right here.
Everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not a T-shirt. This is built from scratch. The yarn, the dyes, everything, the cut and sew, that's all couture. When you're doing something like that, even for a T-shirt, even for a sequence or a dress, everything we have.
Fire.
So
as you saying
that,
my fault, bro. As you saying it, because you made me think, like, no, is there anybody, like, what have you crossed paths with the Virgils of the world, those type of creatives and stuff like that? Like, who has been like, have you come across like a Mama I Made It moment where it's like, Virgil, I seen him passing. He said he loved my work, like, to validate. Because it's one thing to be, we as consumers, I love that fucking bag. I think that's fire, right?
No, that bag is crazy.
But it's another to be recognized by your peers, right? So who in your peer bracket, right, has showed you love and been supportive of you and helped you along the way, bro?
I mean, it's been. I would have to say my mentor. Mr. Williams. I talk with him. Ice. Ice calls me up and he says to Mel, man, I seen you grind from like from the start, and he was like, and he actually, when I did my fashion week, Ice had called me And he said to me, I'm in LA getting my store on Hollywood Walk of Fame. I can't make it to your event. But he called me when he saw the YouTube video, and he said, "Hey man," he said, "Yo, you did it. You spoke everything very eloquently." He said, "You wasn't cutting corners. You answered the question." Like, he really gave me like my props, and I really appreciated that coming from him, because he didn't have to call. He's busy, man. He got family, SUV, this, that, body count. But he does take the time out and give me a call and say, "Hey man, you doing your thing for real." So at the end of the day, those are nice accolades. And one more, I like when I saw Jay-Z actually wear my Pro Bowl jersey when he did Girls on Soul Train Music Awards back when that was out, when he was wearing the jersey. When he came out,
and you waited to the end to drop that. You waited to the end to say that. You waited to the end.
Am I kidding me or what?
Tamil, we gotta work on your timing. We gotta work on your timing. EJ waited to the end casually. Jay-Z and Soul Train Awards, wore the jersey.
I call him Sean. I call him Sean.
I call him Jay. I call him Sean. I call him S bro. Yo, big S bro.
Big S dot.
Big
Come
S
through.
Dot. I'll call you back, S dot. Yeah.
But I mean, those are like moments of my life. I was like, wow, Said, Mom, I made it. You feel like, and it was the creative part, not so much the monetary part, because we're building that with Amiat, and that's the legacy and the foundation of that. So that's gonna create jobs, mentor people, inspire people, create more jobs, mentor people, inspire people. So that's basically what that's going to do, and I'm glad and feel blessed that I'm on this journey like that.
Yeah, you raising the bar though, like I said, because
facts.
I'm just telling you, like
the basket weave, bro.
I'm gonna say that is more than raising. You fucking doing pull-ups now. Raising the bar, you bench pressing.
You on South Beach, on fucking Muscle Beach. You going crazy. Now you're making me feel bad over here, because people be like, "Yo, you design your own clothes," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm nice with it, and I do this," and then I see your shit, and now I'm gonna be like, "Nah, nigga, I just put shit on t-shirts." You know what I'm saying? You gonna make me downgrade my fucking abilities now. Like, God damn, like this is crazy. No, it's inspirational. No, it's inspirational. No, it's inspirational.
Bringing up under the TRG, I'm bringing up other brands like Natural Liz, Club Life, a lot of different brands. Your brand if you need. So I'm doing a lot of different things and helping cultivate that from the ground up, so it can grow into a lot of different things. So that's and you know why? Because that's the artist side of me, because I can't create everything for this one thing. So some things have to divert off. I'm not going to ever put Amiat in a sports licensing situation, because that's not what that is. I mean, I've seen high-end brands do that. I didn't understand why Gucci would put a Yankee on top of the Gucci thing, but I get it. It's not. Baseball is an American sport, so I didn't see the crossover for that. I didn't see. To me, I felt I was like, okay, that's some marketing stuff. So I always want to do things to stay true to the house. So the textile patterns are true to the house. So that's true to your exotic car. That's true to your equestrian. That's true to your home if it's decked out and laid out, your leather pillows and the pillow stitch and everything like that, your bed sheets, everything. Okay. So plates or whatever it is, fine china, I can build that and sculpt that into that, because there's production for everything for Amiat. That's why it's all moves and all textiles, because it's your whole entire life. And it's going to go on, but we're not even here.
So I got this question now. So you want to stay true to self, and you say you're not going to do what the other brands do, right? So now Amiat is private owned, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
not public yet.
So
not public yet.
Well, so now that's the next question, because because this is a big question, because when you're private, you have total control. There is no technical board of trustees, board of directors, anybody, no stockholders that you have to make happy, right? Facts. Only you and any other person that has a percentage in the company, and then there's the workers that you work with, right? Not people that work for you. But the moment you go public and you offer that IPO and people now invest in it, now it can really alter your decision making business wise. So, are you thinking about eventually going public, or do you feel like you can make enough money and you want to keep this thing private so that you really don't have to conform to anything?
I want to become I want Amiat or TRG to become the LVMH of brands that need that kind of assistance. So as long as I can create, as long as I can keep the creative control, because money is money, percentages are percentages. As long as I can keep that creative control, to me, that's worth more than anything in the world, because now you're not me in the box. Everybody can make all the money that they want. I don't mind breaking off this or, giving that. That's not an issue for me. But when it comes to that part, that's a deal breaker. If someone comes in and say, "Well, we need some creative control because we're putting up the money," then I'm not that guy. I'm not that company that you're looking for, because if that's the case, then you can go do that on your own. You don't need me. If you have the money and you feel you have some creativity, you should do something on your own. You can't come here feel like you can run the house, because there's only one house in charge of the house. There's one.
Can't have two kings in the castle. Can't have two kings in the castle, baby.
There it is, man.
That's real, man.
Yeah.
Like,
so I love that. As long as we can do that, and then as far as collaborations, I'm open for that, as long as we respect each other's collaborative part. So, say for instance, if some famous house comes, that I respect, and they want to come and do something, I feel we could do some great things because of what we have in the textile patterns. A lot of big houses that are out there right now, they can't see me on this. Like, I have textile patterns for days. They would have to go and hire an artist or hire someone to do that. So I'm like Biggie with it. Lyrically,
let them know, bitch. Talk that talk. If you gonna talk, talk.
Yeah, that is Mike Tyson. It's Mike Tyson style with that. I'm not losing. I'm not coming in the ring and knock me out on that. No way. That's not gonna happen. No
Did
way.
I stutter?
Let them know.
It's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
I mean, listen. Like I said, Tamil, man,
this was real.
This was amazing. This was everything I knew it was gonna be, and a lot more. I'm not even gonna lie to you. This, we knew it was gonna be a great show, but this has been a phenomenal show. You gotta let the people know where to find you. You know what I mean? We're gonna keep in touch. We gotta do a part 2 because it's just so much. We're definitely gonna keep in touch with the workshops. And this is just the beginning. I'm saying it here first, so you guys hear it here first. This is just the beginning. You're gonna see more Tamil Robinson, more than the title OTB. We're gonna bring this man to you. We're here to educate. We're here to inspire. You heard it first, right here. More than the title. Let the people know where they can find you, Tamil.
You can find me on my Instagram. You can find me at Tamil International. Or you can follow the Amiat Luxury. You can follow that at Amiat Luxury. And you can go to the website, www.amiatluxury.com, and you can see some of the things. You can read up on me. You can find, some of the items that we're available right now. We're selling. And these bags, because this is our launch situation, for life, you get full concierge service. So anything happens to this bag, like the big house, we're going to repair it or replace it. You get your upgrade for the first ones that actually order. They're going to get an upgrade. So, and if you want to buy it outright, you're welcome. If you want to finance it, you can finance it as well, because we have I like those financial things that you can just finance the bag and pay on it. That's a win-win situation for everybody. Because some people aspire to, they want, something high end like that. Yeah. Even the big brands offer it. I saw it on the Gucci side. I'm like, what? They can pay on this? So they want to make that margin, at the end of the day. So that's what we're offering. And it's just going to get better. It's just going to grow. We're going to be in Milan. We're going to be at the Riva Marte and ATL. So that's going to be another exclusive showroom. But that's via online. And we're going to move, strategically to all of the high-end, outlets.
There it is.
That's
there
fire,
it is,
bro.
man. And listen, please send us all the information, because if we're in the area or we could show up, we're definitely going to show up and support you, because without support we have nothing. So if we can't support each other, then we can't ask anybody else to support us. You know what I mean? Big J, take us home. Take us home.
It.
Thanks, man. I'm just gonna say, brother Tamil, it was an honor, brother. It was a pleasure. Wait, hold on. I got people.
Hold on. Is that Big Will? Is that Big Will?
Nah,
Is that
big,
Jay? Is that Jay?
That's Big Chill trying to link up. It's my birthday weekend, baby.
Listen, I thought you was getting one of those calls too. It might have been D from Rough Riders or something.
But Tamil, I just want to say, yo, it was love, man. It's an honor, a pleasure, brother. So, you know what I'm saying? I've learned so much from you, bro. And I would say, I just want to leave this gem, bro. What I would love to see from you, first of all, I know you're going to be successful. You are successful now. I know you're going to blow this thing out the water. I would love my black designers together. I would love to see a workshop with you. All of the best black designers that are working at some of these big houses, right?
Yes.
And start creating our own pipeline of black talent and black creative. So I just want to put that bug in your ear, bro. And there's a way we can support you with that. We've got plugs too. We got connects. Any way we can help that, man. Because like this platform is yours, bro. This is our platform, bro. This is for you, bro. This is for us to help each other out. And I learned a lot from brother, and I appreciate you. Real talk.
Facts.
Appreciate it. Hey, listen, man. I look at it this way. I love working with, all the types of creatives. And I see how, all the corporate structures, putting this whole diversity and inclusion up. And my whole thing is I've always been diversity. I work with everybody all over the world. So I was already diversified. So it wasn't, I don't need that, that hanging over my head because I work with every race all over the world.
Gotcha.
Live with them. I used to sleep in, stay at the Peninsula, the Shangri-La, those expensive hotels. Now I sleep at their house. That's how close we are. We got 25, almost 30 years in knowing, all the production houses and stuff like that. So they always have an open door for me. Even some of the corporate companies, I may want to call, NBA, they've always had them, set up a meeting for me or want to see what I'm doing or breaking something, new. They always had an open door. So for me, I'm already diversified and I'll help whatever and help whoever that wants to learn something like that. No problem at all. I'm doing it now.
That's it, bro. That's love, man. And just keep doing what you're doing, brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got an invite here anytime you want, man.
Yes, sir.
I want to shout out everybody on the check-in. We here for 2 hours, and y'all stay here
2
engaged.
hours.
Y'all don't know what that means to us, man. You could be anywhere. It's Friday. It's 80 degrees outside on a Thursday in New York City, and y'all rocking with us right now. So we just want to let you know we appreciate y'all. We're growing and glowing each week, man. And we just really appreciate you. And
we told y'all it was going to be explosive.
It's going to be, man.
We told you. And it's only going to keep getting better. It's only going to keep getting better.
We'll get you back on season 4, bro. We're going to chop it up, but we're locked in, bro.
Yeah.
I'm glad I met you. Everybody on the check-in, make sure you come back.
Guy.
And we're going to see you guys next week for another great episode of More Than the Title. Let's get out of here, baby.
What you know about me? I seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? I done it all, just want it all.